Hey guys, what's up? It's Gillian. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am giving you guys a little tips to how to do online school. Now, I want to put it out there that I am no expert at taking online classes, but I figured I would take what I learned and share it with all of you anyways. Before we get on into the video, make sure you are subscribed to my channel by clicking that big red button down below. Alright, I think that's it, so let's just get on into the tips. My first tip that I have is to plan out your day based on the time of your class. So if you have a Zoom meeting at, say, 10 o'clock in the morning, I would suggest planning out when you wake up, if you're going to have breakfast before that class, and then plan everything else after you get off of that meeting. When I say plan your day based on your class times, I do mean like make sure you add when you're going to eat, add when you're going to do your homework, do the classwork, log into the classes, and give yourself some free time. My biggest thing is try to set a goal for yourself to be done with school or classwork by a certain time at night, so then you have a certain amount of time at night where you're just giving yourself time to relax, decompress, and all of that. Okay, my tip number 2 is for when you have a class with a live lecture over video chat. If the professor posts their presentation slides, I recommend printing them or at least pull them up so that you have them and you can like type notes on it as the professor is going through them. This just makes note-taking a lot easier versus trying to write it down in a notebook and trying to keep up with the professor while they're talking. Now, tip number 3 is with the recorded lectures of your professors. I would say watch those lectures at the time that your class is supposed to meet. So if your class is a mix of like live lecturing and recorded lecturing, I recommend doing the recorded lecturing at the same... Oh, there's a train. Oh, maybe it was just one horn. I would recommend watching the recorded part of the lectures at the same time as when the live lectures would happen. This would just keep you on schedule, and then also along with that, I recommend taking notes in a notebook or on paper. I would say do this so that you are more aware of the information that you're learning. Another trick that I have with the live lecturing is that even though I do type out the notes off to the side on my computer while I'm watching, or I am like quickly trying to jot it down on the presentation slides, I try to find time to like copy those notes just so that I know I'm obtaining the information. So there's another tip for you if you want. It is a little more extra work, but I mean, it helps me, so maybe it'll help you. So my 4th tip for you is that if your professor is using Zoom as the software for the online class, I recommend keeping your like speaker mode in active speaker mode versus like the gallery view. This is just so that you're not distracted by other people in your class and you are only focusing on the person talking, and hopefully that person is your professor. Most likely if it's a live lecture, your professor will be sharing their screen with you, so it's just easier if you keep your professor's face and the shared screen on your screen rather than trying to keep a bunch of your classmates as well as the professor and the shared screen, if that made sense. My 5th tip is an obvious one. It's to make sure you're on mute. As soon as you log into your Zoom meeting, press that mute button, because I've heard many stories where people are talking about their classmates or professor and their mic was on. So make sure your mic is on mute. Of course, if your professor asks to unmute, make sure you unmute, but try to stay mute for the most part because it's just distracting. You don't want to have other people hear your conversations with your mother or your brother or your sister or your dog. Like, just don't do it. Keep yourself on mute. And that's all I gotta say about that one. My 6th tip is kind of going with the whole keeping the mic on or off thing, and that is to keep your camera on. I know since it is online school, a lot of people won't feel like they need to get ready for the day and stuff like that. But if you want to keep a good impression with your professors, I suggest keeping your screen open and your camera on. I do understand the circumstances where, like, if you're going somewhere or I don't know, there's something happening in the background of your screen, so you don't want to distract your professor, but try to find a place in your house designated to schoolwork, and make sure you're not out of your house while you're supposed to be in class so that you aren't distracted, you aren't distracting, and you're making a good impression, like I said. So tip number 6. My 7th tip is for you guys to have an alarm set for 5 to 10 minutes before your Zoom class starts. This way you are giving yourself enough time to get ready for the class, pull up the website, pull up your notes, get your area organized and ready for class. Yeah, that's pretty much it. My 8th tip for all of you is to have headphones when you are in class or listening to a lecture. This way that you are not getting distracted by things happening in your house or with your friends that are around if you're living on campus or like in a place near your campus with your roommates and stuff. Just having headphones will help you stay more focused on the lectures and what you're supposed to be doing, and then it's also just easier to hear your professor when you have headphones in rather than just using the audio from your computer. Tip number 9, I actually experienced like a couple of my classmates doing this, so I suggest keeping close to your Wi-Fi router while you're in class, because if you're outside, I know we are in quarantine, we're isolating, and we're stuck inside all day, so you always want to get fresh air, and you think the best time to do it is during your class, you know, have class outside, great. But if your Wi-Fi router doesn't reach outside your house, then your connection will get blurry, it will get choppy, and if a professor's trying to ask you a question and you can't hear because the connection's poor, not only is it bad for you and the professor, but it's bad for the whole class because now you're just delaying the class. So I recommend trying to stay close to your Wi-Fi router. If it reaches outside, great. If not, I just suggest during that hour that you have class to stay inside and stay close to it so that you don't have any problems with your connection. Tip number 10 is the biggest one I think that I have, and that is to set up video chat meetings with your professors or advisors if you ever have specific questions about certain things. Of course, if it's just like a yes and no type of question, you can always just send them an email, but if you're trying to fix a class schedule or you need real help on like homework and stuff like that, I highly recommend communicating with your professor and setting up a time to meet over Zoom or whatever software your school uses. This is just because communicating back and forth between email gets very frustrating and very dull, and things get crossed wrong and read wrong, and it's just a big old mess. So I highly suggest that you utilize the Zoom meetings, office hour type of stuff, and set up times with the people that you need to, just so that it's easier to communicate and it's easier to get the answers that you need and the help that you need. Alright, that's pretty much it for today's video. It was short and sweet, I feel like. I don't know how long I've been recording, but it feels short and sweet. I hope you guys liked it, and I hope you found the information useful. If you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week with a new video. Bye guys.